So what I'm getting at there with your niche is the ability to help somebody get started. And by the way, if you look at franchising, okay, so if you look at the franchises that sell and do the biggest numbers, they're things like carpet cleaning, right? They're things like McDonald's, where you don't need to have a massive amount of experience, and then you can step into it and go. So, so for your guys' niche, you'd be coaching people like, let's use dog groomers as an example, like mobile dog groomers. You could go to existing dog groomers. You could go to dog groomers that are brick and mortar and say, you should get a mobile version of this. Perfect, right? You can go to existing mobile dog groomers and say, I can help you take it up a notch. But you can also take the guy in corporate America or whatnot and say, look, instead of that $100,000 they're paying you, why don't you do this? Start washing dogs for a living. Sounds like a hell of a good time, right? And make yourself $100,000 and go. Right? So, but you can literally get him started. How much do you pay you probably don't even know, but I want you guys to have a guess. If you were to buy a dog walking or a dog grooming franchise, how much would you pay for it? Boom, $75,000. You're a business coach and you can help him get going. Picture a do-it-yourself system to get cranking with a program. But you don't have to charge them $75,000. You say, hey dude, look, pay me $10,000 up front for my do-it-yourself kit to get started. Pay me $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month for a minimum of 12 months to get started. That can be a fabulous niche for you guys. So I give you that example. So again, we've chosen business coaching as Adrian's niche, right? So again, we can take somebody out of corporate, whatever country they are in, and say, hey, become a business coach and get them started. So when you're picking your niche, that can be an very important or profitable aspect of it. At the end of the day, though, guys, target your ideal clients. I did one of the Ask the Expert calls not long ago. I did a thing on Salesforce.com, 0 to 300 million, and what is it, 3 years? I mean, how do they go about doing it? Well, a major part, like effectively cold calling, guys, is how they did it, but sending messages. But before they did it, they went and found something out about this particular individual, right? Like their niche, some of their clients, they're operating in, Fairfax, Virginia, as an example. Like finding a little bit of information so that when they send the message and then they get them on the call, they've actually got a little bit of background information. But they went from 0 to 300 million, effectively cold calling, and that's the only, from you just take a traditional cold calling methodology, and then what Salesforce.com did 300 million in 3 years with, the real only difference is the fact that they did a little bit of homework prior to sending out the email. What they really did is they targeted, oh, and by the way, if they did some homework on you and they worked out that you probably weren't the best client, guess what? They just kind of, left you to the side and they went on to the guy that was. Identifying your ideal clients is absolutely critical. People that advertise on average are going to be the folks who are going to help you get to 7 figures the quickest. Understanding that the masses need you. If you think about the state story strategy, I just know, and this is something that I've battled with for years, in terms, that they're really going to give a crap, are they really going to listen? Are they actually going to show up? When they do show up, am I going to know what the hell to say? Right? And here's the magic, guys, is that, like, how many of you, okay, show of hands, public speaking event is tomorrow. It's your turn to speak. The night before, you are pooping your pants. Hands up. A bunch of public speakers. Come on, guys. I've spoken to you all individually. Now, would you guys agree before the presentation you're crapping yourself? I'll agree with that?
Most people, yeah.
And then, what's that?
A little strong. I'm a little bit nervous.
Now you're not pooping your pants? Well, you didn't actually poop your pants? I did earlier. Yes, that's right. New pants. Before I started, like, where'd Karl go? We're supposed to start 10 minutes ago. Rivers. I shit my pants. No, so, but that was... Camera, Craig, make a note of where that one was. So, I didn't really poop my pants, folks. Where's the camera? I didn't poop my pants. We all hear that. Okay, so, but the masses, guys, but here's the scoop, right? You're about to do your event. You're crapping your pants, like, what is it that I'm going to say? Am I going to make any sense? You roll up and you do the event, and then what happens? You blitz it. No worries, right? At the end, you're like, what the heck was I so worried about? It's the exact same thing. You get in your car, you're driving along, and then like you get home and you're like, who the hell was driving the car, right? Like, I mean, how the heck did I get here? Like, you fell into a meditative state, correct? Guess what happens when you're going to get in your, in front of your audience on your webinar? You're going to fall into a meditative state, and when you need to say something, you're going to know what to say. I hear this all the time. Like, I'm a new coach, and I'm going to coach the client. What am I going to say? Like, I know what to say in week 1 and week 2 and week 3. I kind of feel comfortable with that. What if I run out of things to say? What if I don't know? once again, feel very, very comfortable that A, they're going to give you an incredible amount of guidance, as your coaching client in terms of what you need to do, but you will fall into a meditative state. You will know exactly what to say, when to say it, and you will be magic. And by the way, and if you're not, which we've all had some, some coaching calls that didn't go as well as we wanted, and we would have changed them. I certainly have. Well, guess what? You learn from it, you dust yourself off, and with some speed, you make some alterations, and you just continue the next one. You don't let perfection get in the way and start, let this story run over the top of you, and all of a sudden forgo your strategy because the story is owning you. Remember, you got to divorce the story and marry the truth. And the marry the truth is the fact that the masses need you, and that 250, if you're in North America, 250,000 business owners are failing every single year, and these mums and these dads are coming home incredibly embarrassed and incredibly disenchanted, and on a physical, spiritual, and emotional level, it hurts. I just ask you the question, guys: have you been playing small to this time, to this date, and are you gonna, is it time to take it up? And by the way, and I don't want to press, I've got some goals and that sort of thing. Like, these are my goals and this is my journey, and I, 7-figure businesses and whatnot. That might not be yours. It's very important, guys. I'm not trying to, tell you guys what your business should look like, and you should start doing multi-million dollars, and you should be, taking on hordes of salespeople and hordes of staff. May or may not be what you want to be doing, but I would encourage you to be thinking about, you are here. This is where you want to be. There's going to be a gap in the middle. Let's fill that void. Whether that's multiple 7 figures or not, let's make sure we fill that void. I go back to what I said in one of the first slides there under speed. Most of you guys, the solution lies in you guys taking on some staff members. I know that it's a massive leap of faith. I know how, it can be frustrating and it can be challenging, and you got to go through a few in order to get to the one that's going to work. But let me tell you this, it's incredibly rewarding on the other end as it works. Okay, and by the way, it allows you to accomplish all this stuff that you're looking to accomplish, and that's make a bit of an influence on the 250,000 that are falling over every 12 months. And by the way, 96% that aren't making it to 10 years. Ultimately, 96% fail. So my question is, and writing this down, with some influence, guys, when are you going to start your podcast you've been talking about? When are you going to start your web series? The live event that you tell me that nobody shows up to, and I can show you absolutely different. Live event, but it's going to take an incredible amount of intestinal fortitude. They're not just magically show up, but the live events that you want to be running. You're going to get something going on Facebook Live. When's it happening? LinkedIn Facebook group. When are you starting it? Can be an unbelievable lead generator for you. What have you been talking about and not doing? You guys have you've been listening to the Ask Me Expert calls. You probably talk about Richard Reifer talking about his business in beer. Had massive success doing that. I personally think that for a lot of you, that could be I think it could be a really fun thing to do. Let's face it, going and having a beer with some really cool people, not a bad thing to do. So business and beer, think of it as informal networking. There's no pressure, and there's no, B&I, like fill this out and hand it to the guy at the front. Like, none of that. It's business and beer sitting around. And my opinion is, and I don't have the stats to back this up, but Richard agrees with me, and I've got reasonable instincts for this. I can tell you that business and beer would attract, on average, a higher level of business owner, significantly, frankly, but a higher level of business owner than the traditional quote-unquote B&I. But guess what? Look, I've never done it. This would be one for you guys to experiment with, but I tell you, I like to drink beer and I like to hang out with people and talk business. So business and beer sounds like a hell of a good time to me. So you guys promote it and you were in my city, I'd be rolling up. Yes?
Yeah. I don't drink beer.
Why?
I don't actually like the taste, but anyway. And so, like, what's going to attract clients, having a networking event for me? Beer, wine business? I mean, like, you're talking from a male point of view.
Yeah. No, that's okay. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. So the question is, first of all, if you don't drink, but you realize the beer is like it's a metaphor over all else, right? Like, you want to drink orange juice, go for it. You know what I mean? So but I know you, okay, that's cool. But the idea, why am I going to come? Look, do you think I might like to know what other people, like, let's say, I just moved recently. I was about to say I live in Port Moody, but I don't. I live in a place called Kelowna now, which is kind of cool. So I live in Kelowna, right? Do you think I might like to know what other businesses are doing in Kelowna to promote themselves?
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm going to get there. Do you think I might like to know some of the advertising mediums, like there's going to be newspapers and online directories? Do you think I might like to know, what is and is not working from those advertising? Boom. Do you think joint ventures and partnerships and having a circle of business owners would be good? Absolutely. That's what they're getting. So you literally just pitch them that. And by the way, I think that the person that would be attracted to what I just described is a pretty decent level of business owner. I think, the structured, BNI, fill this out, get up and talk for 20 minutes every 3 months, which by the way is fine, and it's brought, unbelievable numbers of, coaching clients to me personally, my companies personally. So I don't poo-pooing that, but that is one strategy of, multiple. But if you were to give me the option of business and beer and networking, and I've never experimented with business and beer, but I'd be doing that first, because I just believe my instincts say that that's going to bring a higher level of business owner. Understanding that 96% never hit 7 figures. So if you put 50 people in the room, no matter what promotion or no matter what you're doing, 40 of them are going to be struggling. Does that answer your question, Glennis? Yep. Tori.
I was going to say, my husband and I were working on that because we're not drinking either, but we really like the idea of getting people together. So he did BNI, and a lot of I sent him all over the place. He did BNI, and he did some of the things that the business meetups and things, and he found that a lot of the people that were serious about business, that were business owners, didn't really want to go out at night because they want to be at home with their family. So I was like, well, we could do this and we could do this, and he said, well, no, do something early in the morning or something at lunch.
Yep.
And I mean, beers for breakfast is great, but you can have it at a really cool coffee shop or something like that, and figure out whatever your theme is.
Coffee and business.
Right, and then we have a place that's on the lake that is very unique, and it looks like a hole in the wall, but it serves like some gourmet food.
Yep.
Bring people in with appetizers during lunch, and just come, we'll buy the appetizers, maybe we get some sponsors or something. So that way we still had a theme, and we were still trying to get people in and get them talking and bring something, but it was something that wasn't at night and wasn't beer. So just to kind of...
Yeah, love it. Well, if I can just, love it. Well, I'll tell you guys, so again, when we were doing,
I get it. I've done lunch and learn and things like that.
Yeah.
And it works. I'm just
I got it.
thinking beer and business may not attract the sort of client that I'm looking for.
Yep. No, and this is, and you need to experiment, like I said, and let's see who shows up. But you live in Australia, and I'm telling you here now, you're going to need a lineup out the front. You need a doorman to keep everybody. Sorry, guys, Glennis is busy here. There's only 800 people can fit in this pub right now. So now, look, but you know what? You experiment with it. But let me tell you something else. I used to build, we used to do marketing boot camps. We do like focus groups. Basically, we would put on breakfast and we would get people together. Like 25 was, the ceiling. We didn't want more than 25 because the follow-up is very difficult. And notwithstanding, you want enough time to be able to move around the room. But we would just take roughly 10 business owners and put them in for breakfast every Tuesdays and Wednesdays were the best days, but Tuesday morning. The reason why is Tuesday is a good day to show up, but you've also got Tuesday afternoon, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to sell them. But we bring them in, we would buy them breakfast. Everybody loves the idea of a free breakfast, right? And gets them going early in the day. You know what it's saying, an hour in the morning is like 2 in the afternoon. Right, so again, in the morning, a little bit fresher, ready to rock and roll. Did unbelievable numbers doing that. In fact, it was one of the, when we did we would do joint ventures as our prime lead generation source. Well, from the joint venture, we would drive them to these. We would either call them lunch and learns, focus groups, or marketing boot camps. So that's worked fast. The breakfast is a beautiful idea.
There's a great organization out of Mexico that started years ago. And pardon the vulgarity of it, but I think it's absolutely brilliant. It's called Fucked Up Nights, and it brings people together and it talks about business failure. And that's all they do is have stories on business failure and the lessons learned around that. So talking about nurturing an opportunity to work with people.
Yeah.
And it's a business model that is now around the world, and it's got an infrastructure already in place.
I've never heard of it. That's awesome.
It's brilliant.
Really?
And they teach you how to make revenue off of it also.
Yeah. So but the theme is that it's about failure.
It's all
like
the
this.
way you come and talk about your failures.
Lessons learned on failures.
It's failures and lessons learned.
Really? Oh, I love
All
it.
about failure
Oh, wow,
and
there we go.
success.
Very cool, well, guys.
Yeah. It's called Fucked Up Nights.
I was gonna repeat it, but I'm like, no, I'll let Rivers say it.
It is what it is, It's not I didn't name it, but it works.
Okay.
Right? And so you can change the name if you want, but it's a brilliant concept.
Elliot.
It was a great marketing lesson, you might say. I don't know if anybody saw it. I think it was posted on Facebook last week. Last Saturday, Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, which is a very fine, high-end steakhouse in Ann Arbor, Michigan, published a deal on Facebook saying, we will, because they were playing, Michigan was playing, I can't remember what school they played, but they said, for every point scored, you'll get 1% off on your meal at Ruth's Chris. Good for the next week.
Yeah.
They scored, Michigan beat whoever they beat 73 to nothing.
Oh.
Wow. And so they quickly, not to lose face, they said, hey, we have to they came, we never thought anybody would create that kind of. So they reevaluated. They said they reposted and says, well, up to 50%. But still, average cost of a meal there is about $75 per person, not counting alcohol.
Yeah.
To get a high quality steak like that, they're still honoring the 50% off. They didn't duck. They said, we goofed on that. Should have had a limit on it.
Yeah.
Great marketing, but there's a lesson in there too that they acknowledged it immediately, and I think they didn't honor the price for some people.
But I say they should have honored it for everybody, shouldn't
I
they?
agree.
That's, and I don't even think
once
what.
they reposted it though, they said once
Yeah.
the repost was in, that
Yeah, gotcha. Very, very cool. But it's cool.
They added rules.
Clever little promotions like that are gold. Somebody else had their hands up somewhere, I thought.
I just a kind of humorous one, but on the beer thing.
Yeah.
There was this church in Nuremberg, still going, of course, where the vicar offers free beer to everyone who turns up. He has the most packed church thing, morning, midday, evening. It's the most packed church in.
I'm going.
So the business and beer might.
Oh.
Look at some legs there.
Might have some legs. There we go, Glennis. I told you. That's it, man. I'm telling you. Business, beer, and wine. But whatever. So anyways, but guys, but you may love the idea of business and beer. You might hate the idea of business and beer. That's a little bit irrelevant. The partnership is the last one I have there. At the end of the day, guys, in the interest of speed, in the interest of taking your standards up a notch and, basically, taking this thing, again, if you're at 500 going to a mill, and a mill you want to go to 1.5 and up, basically it's going to take a level of, raising these standards. In order to do all of that, you're going to have some influence, because if you don't have some influence over some folks, guess what? The rest of it really isn't going to matter. So this is getting your books, getting multiple books, that kind of thing. All those things are going to work in your favor. So with that being said, guys, in fact, did we take a couple minutes? We're going to write down what we're getting started. Just very quickly, guys, take 1 minute and just write down what is it that you were starting as of now. And then as of now being when you get home, ready to rock and roll. Is it going to be the podcast? Is it going to be, do you love the idea of business and beer? Because keep in mind the business and beer, and just what I like about it, like this is what we're doing this thing for, right? Like we're having some fun. It's a social outing. And like, breakfast, business and breakfast, perfect, right? Same sort of idea. The thing I like about it, a little bit informal, as opposed to you go to BNI and you get the name badge and you're expected to kind of fill out a form and shift it towards the front of the room, which is totally fine. And there's an argument for the formality, but I personally am not showing up to BNI, and I don't say that for any other. It's just not what I'm going to show up to, right? But business and beer, I'd be all over it, and just a social, informal atmosphere where I can pick some guys' brains and have a couple of beers like we did last night, and we'll do again tonight. Cool? Yeah, Phil.
Guys, keep in mind what Carl's really getting at here is don't get tied up on business and beer, right? There's one thing that Carl's always told me, right? For coaches, you got to find a parade. Many of you have heard me say this, right? Karl Bryan sayings, find a parade and stand in front of it, and that's what he's getting at. Okay, business and beer is a way to create the parade for yourself, puts you at the front of the group, and who always gets asked for the business? The guy or the gal at the front of the room, right?
Always.
So that's what he's getting at, is you create this opportunity, you make yourself that parade, put yourself right in front of it and start waving. Okay, that's how we start getting business as coaches. Yeah, so you can do anything. It could be a business thing, it could be a morning thing, be an afternoon, evening.
Yep.
Got to work in your area, but you got to create those parades, you got to put yourself in front of it. That way you're the de facto expert at the front of the room. That's what he's really getting at there. So don't get too tied up on beer and business. We all like that. I love it. I'd be at that in a heartbeat, right? But, I don't drink a lot of beer during my day, so that sounds fantastic to me. So, but just
Love
to
it.
kind of expand a little bit on that.
But yeah, beautiful. And guys, find a parade and then stand in front of it. I love the fact that he brought that up, because again, you're thinking about niching. Brings up a good point I didn't say earlier. Like again, you're creating your parade with that beer and business, but there's different industries that are doing well. Like I remember in 2008, the U.S. was, in all sorts of financial turmoil, but then Texas was still booming because oil was going crazy. Like, housing prices were like practically raising in Texas, and the rest of the country is falling apart. Well, if I'm a business coach, guess where I'm going? I'm going to Texas. I'm thinking outside the box. Somebody was mentioning solar panels last night. It was Glennis, was you? Like a business, like without knowing the business, without speaking to them. Do you think solar panels are going to become more popular or less popular in the next 10 years? It's like without question. And then, by the way, and then solar panels are going to be replaced with something else. So you need to be Johnny on the spot. But when we say find a parade and then stand in front of it, with the aging population, things like Botox and health spas and this sort of thing, absolutely on the take up big time. These can be unbelievable coaching clients. So not just clients that are advertising, but clients that are in industries that we see a massive amount of growth. I'd be, business coaching. Do you think this is an industry that's growing, or one that's stagnant, or one that's declining? It's growing at an unbelievable rate. Okay, so yes, Eileen.
I did something similar like that years ago when I was at Karl Bryan. It's a huge accounting firm. What I did was I got Maxine Dallin, who's very well respected. She's the head of the New Jersey Technology Council at the time, to invite her top CEOs to a CEO roundtable. So they would talk about all their problems and issues, and I would feverishly be writing them down so I could send my partners out to address that. It was a great lead generation tool because they just opened up and told us all their problems. And it was great because it also put the firm in a great light, with alignment and everything else. So kind of like a different spin on a joint venture. They weren't pitching us or anything. We were just hosting an event.
Love it, love it. Okay, guys, so writing that down very quickly, my favorite saying right here: everyone hates advertising until they have to sell their own car. Okay, hands up if you hate you got to play with me here, guys, before I do this. I don't embarrass myself. Rivers keeps laughing. I think Rivers is the only bit of feedback I'm getting in some of these laughing at me. Hands up if you can't stand telemarketers. Hands up. Okay, hands down. Hands up if you get one of those voice recorded messages and drives you crazy. Hands, and I could go on and on and on, right? Advertising is the same. You got to be a little bit careful, guys. If you don't like these things, you still need to have them working in your business. And again, think of the guy who's got the car, the mom or the dad, and all of a sudden, advertising is the greatest thing since sliced bread for a better, very short period of time, and then they go back to all these damn ads on TV or what have you, right? So I love this saying. There's, so much symbolic representation here in this saying. Everyone hates advertising until they have to sell their own car. Thinking about that from the fundamentals of building your 7-figure business.